Hey girl, I see you. You've come a long, long way. You're not alone anymore. Come sit with me and tell me your story. You've come a long way, girl. Pulled yourself out and climbed the nest. Those were some dark times back then, but it's all over now. You're not alone anymore. Come sit with me and tell me your story. This is Trucking with Tammy, where your journey's heard and your voice is free. You're not alone, come share your story with me. Hey girl, I see you. You've come a long, long way. You're not alone anymore. Come sit with me and tell me your story. You've come a long way, girl. Pulled yourself out and climbed the nest. Those were some dark times back then, but it's all over now. You're not alone anymore. Come sit with me and tell me your story. This is Trucking with Tammy, where your journey's heard and your voice is free. You're not alone, come share your story with me.
Hey, truckers, welcome back to Trucking with Tammy and week 2 of our Training Tuesday series. Today, we're tackling the big one. Why do truck drivers face a life expectancy of only 61 years? And more importantly, how do we change that? My guest is the man leading that charge, Dr. Mark Manera. He's the president and chief health officer of Project 61. As a doctor of physical therapy, he started his career by rehabbing drivers in clinics, saw the massive gaps in the wellness programs, and he built OffShift. It's the first health app that was made just for truckers. Now, through Project 61, it's all free. Quick workouts in your cab, smart eating while you're on the go, and the tools to help you beat the toll of the road. So, Dr. Mark, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, Timmy, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for it.
Yay. So if you would, Mark, if you would tell the audience a little bit about how you got into trucker health.
Yeah, well, my story into the trucking industry is pretty unique because 5.5 years ago, I had no clue what trucking was, and I knew no one in the trucking industry. I was in the healthcare world. Like you mentioned, I have a doctorate degree in physical therapy. So I was working in a physical therapy clinic. I'm born and raised in St. Louis, and here in St. Louis, and walked in a bunch of truck drivers. And it was kind of the first time that I had ever gotten to know some drivers on a personal level. I mean, I was like rehabbing them, total knee replacements, shoulder injuries, all these different things, and like working with them on a day-to-day basis. And it was really the first time I saw what 20, 30 years behind the wheel can do to someone's health. And it just threw me down this rabbit hole. And I haven't looked back since. I went down an entrepreneurial journey and then ended up having OffShift, my company, be acquired by Project 61 in July of last year.
Well, let's take it back a little bit. So you were working as this physical therapist. What began the transition from that to you developing OffShift?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur. I always am. Like I've just had that bug in me. And so for me, it was like one of those things of I was working as a physical therapist. It was like right early in my career. And I was, honestly, very mission driven as a human in general. I want to fight for something. Right. And I was kind of in a search for what is this mission that I'm going to dedicate my career to? And when those drivers came into the clinic, and there was one in particular who I worked with 4 times a week for like 6 months, helping him get back to, he was actually an owner op after a knee replacement. And I just got to know the trucking lifestyle, got to know some of the struggles and unique barriers like he faced out on the road, and the impact that his health. He had diabetes. He was not he had some obesity issues, and that actually was the trickle down of why he had to have a total knee replacement in general, because he wasn't taking care of his body, and kind of the accumulation of all these things, along with, I'm a little bit of a research nerd. So I started digging into the statistics of the health of drivers. And I'm, seeing the fact that truck drivers have the highest rates of obesity and diabetes among any other occupation. And I saw that, from a mental health perspective, truck drivers are 6.2 times more likely to have, depression than someone who works in an office. And the trickle down of all of that is really what you mentioned earlier in the podcast, which is, those statistics and the unique barrier that these drivers face cause, drivers to have a life expectancy of 61 years old. And deep down in my heart, I just do not believe anyone's career should define their health. But when you have an occupation where you go and go get your CDL and statistically have 16 years cut off the back end of your life, I don't know how much more clear that could be that that's exactly what's happening, is like trucking is impacting so many people's health. And for me, I knew that all of these health issues, all these lifestyle-based chronic diseases that we talked about, even, the obesity, diabetes, heart disease, these types of things, they're all lifestyle-based, and they're preventable, they're treatable, and they're reversible. And so what I was seeing when I was working and kind of jumped all into the trucking industry is I worked hand in hand with dozens of trucking companies, a bunch of insurance companies. And I just also spent hundreds of hours talking to drivers, getting to know them on a personal level. I was the crazy guy at the truck stops talking to drivers, doing ride-alongs, those types of things. I still think I'm the only physical therapist in the world that between patients, I was on the phone with drivers when they're driving like all around North America, and just like asking them questions and trying to understand what they go through on a day-to-day basis, and also what's going on, upstairs in their head and their mind when they're, have all that windshield time and what they're thinking about, and, the psychology that drivers go through as well. And through that process, what I recognized was that all of the health benefits that trucking companies have available to offer their drivers, the employee benefits they're offering as a part of their health insurance, and just like employee package as a whole, they're all industry agnostic. And what that really means is that they are built for someone who works in a cubicle, and then companies are kind of handcuffed to say, well, this is the only thing available that I can give my drivers, so I guess I'm going to give it to them. But these programs, when drivers look at them, is they don't speak their language, they don't understand the culture of the industry, and they don't fit the lifestyle drivers live. And at the end of the day, drivers just like don't resonate with them. And when someone doesn't resonate with something, they don't use it. And so I saw a really big opportunity to say, well, all of these programs out there are kind of built for a lawyer or someone who works in a cubicle, and then drivers are trying to, cram that into their life. That's not really working. You look at the statistics, no one's getting healthier. No. What if we built a program specifically for drivers, and we really tried to smack drivers in the face that we built this for them? And so that's what Offshift was. And we were selling directly to trucking companies and coming in as a part of their employee benefit program, and pairing drivers with a coach, and then through our app on their phone, helping drivers work out in the back of their truck or eat healthier at the truck stop or McDonald's attached to it, and really like meeting them where they're at, anywhere that they park, anywhere they drive out on the road. And then through that process, Project 61, which is a nonprofit in the trucking industry, Jeremy Raymer, who's the founder of that, him and I were working very closely together because they were bringing, a lot of attention to the driver health problem as a whole. And we were working together because Offshift was the only solution that was really driver health specific. So any company that came to Project 61, Jeremy was like, well, you should work with Offshift, if they're like, we want to do something about this. And so we started looking at each other, and we're like, hey, we're rowing the boat in the same direction. We're just in two different boats. What if we hopped in the same one? We could go further and faster together. And so that was really the spark of Project 61 acquiring my company. And then I came on and started working with Jeremy and took on a president and chief health officer role. And, the exciting part about it, because of the mechanics of it being a nonprofit and us being able to financially support ourselves through people who donate and corporate partnerships who donate to our nonprofit, was that we were able to take what Offshift was going and selling trucking companies, and we now give it away completely for free. And free is the right price, it turns out. And so
Yes.
it's
Absolutely.
And so it's been going really well. And our goal is to get into 750 trucking companies by the end of this year.
Oh, that's a good goal. And I want to say, going back to what you said about riding with the truck driver. So whenever there are issues in our industry, the first thing you're going to hear a truck driver say is a lot of the people are not making educated decisions because they've never been in the truck with a truck driver. And until you actually get in the truck and you see how it goes, it's really hard to have solutions for a truck driver. So the fact that you took that time out, that you talked to those drivers and you actually rode with them to see the challenges that they face on a daily basis speaks volumes.
Well, I appreciate that. And I do not have all the answers. And I've kind of taken that approach, and I've taken that approach. And, some of the smartest people I've ever met in my life are sitting behind a wheel and driving a truck. They just and they have so much perspective of obviously the culture and lifestyle of trucking. And then, they also have a lot of time to think about things and to really process it. And so I have really made it a focus on my end to throughout, my whole time in trucking this last 5.5 years has been like, when I have a question, when I'm trying to figure something out, let me text or let me call a handful of my driver friends and just let them sit on it for a week or so and get their feedback. And that's where we have had, some of the biggest breakthroughs from a standpoint of, I never even thought about doing it this way, was from a perspective. And, anytime you're brainstorming, it's kind of, you're bouncing things off of it. And then, Tammy says one phrase and, wait, no, this. And it's kind of, you end up going down different rabbit holes.
So Offshift was acquired by Project 61. You guys merged. A lot of people don't know who Project 61 is and why it's named Project 61. So would you like to educate them?
Yeah. So Project 61's a 501c3 nonprofit in the trucking industry. And the significance of that 61 number is that's the average life expectancy of a truck driver, which is not okay. We have to do better as an industry. And the whole mission of the nonprofit is to empower every level of the trucking industry to do something about that and really realize that everyone who, relies on a truck to move, and that's everyone in this country. And also from a job perspective, trucking companies, insurance companies, even vendors who support drivers, that 61 number should be all of our enemies. And we should be fighting back against that and saying, because it's impacting every single one of us from a risk perspective, from a quality of life perspective, from just an operational cost perspective as well. And so, for us, it's how do we become the spearhead of this movement where we get everyone in the industry to say enough is enough. Everyone in this industry knows the health of drivers is not okay. And it's time to stop sweeping it under the rug, and we got to do something about it.
And since you, a lot of your focus is on selling directly to the trucking companies and implementing your program from a carrier perspective, for carriers, it's in their interest to have healthier drivers as well. I mean, it's going to save them on insurance rates, time off that drivers have, and happier, healthier drivers.
Completely agree, right? Every single line of insurance is touched by, the health of the person who's sitting behind the wheel. I think it's very obvious health insurance is. Work comp, I think, is also very clear that if you have an unhealthy driver, the risk, especially of a musculoskeletal injury, of them tearing something or hurting a joint is increased. But then even, I don't think anyone would argue that a safer driver behind the wheel is a healthier driver. Or, let me flip that around. A healthier driver behind the wheel is a safer driver, right?
And I gotcha.
So from an auto liability insurance perspective and the likelihood of having a crash or, incident behind the wheel and that turning into a really, really large lawsuit that costs trucking companies tens of millions of dollars a year, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars. It makes sense to say, hey, let me help my drivers and give them these resources give them as many resources as I can so that, they can show up to drive every shift at their highest physical and mental capacity. And, for us, the real win here is also it's free. So it's like,
Right.
there's not even a cost associated. Why wouldn't you as a company partner with us and offer this?
Exactly. And for drivers, like you said earlier, standard fitness fails, right? So they don't fit into that cookie cutter program that most companies offer. Irregular schedules, gym access. I mean, yeah, you might have 2-3 gyms, 30 gyms in the city that the terminals are at, but drivers aren't at the terminals. They're not at
Correct.
the office.
Or truck parking, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't park at a majority of these gyms. And so
Right.
I'm not, for us, it's like, I'm not like if a driver, if it's into their schedule, they go to the gym or, even they cook in their truck and they eat a, homemade truck meal every night. That's amazing. I'm all about it. I want to encourage more and more drivers to do that. But most drivers are not quote unquote gym people, right? Even if there was a
Right.
gym at every single truck stop, they wouldn't feel comfortable in that. And that's okay. You don't have to have a gym to be more physically active, intentionally move more and be healthier. And so we want to show drivers how they can do that in the comfort of their truck, outside of their truck, or even, in their living room on home time.
Yeah. And having said that, after Michael Lombard was on my show last week and we discussed Project 61, I downloaded the app.
Whoa.
And I tested out the challenges every day. Like in the beginning, there's a 15-minute workout, and like today it says 16. So does that increase as you go?
It changes day by day. Sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's somewhere in that like 10 to 15 minute range is what we found is a sweet spot for drivers.
Okay. So drivers, the app that he's talking about is called OffShift. I'm an Apple user, so I imagine you have it on Android as well.
Yeah, it's OffShift by Project 61. You can download it on any app store. It's completely free. You can sign up and join.
I don't know if I can show this on mine. The logo on it. I don't know. Do you have the logo handy? So that
I don't have it, but it's a nice blue.
I don't know if you guys can see that logo there.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll because it's very different from the. Yes, I will. But some people are driving when they're watching this, and
there you go. Don't download it now.
Don't download it now. I will put it in the show notes, but it does not have the Project 61 logo, which when I went looking for it, I wanted to put that out there because a lot of people are looking for it to say Project 61, but it is OffShift.
Well, we're rebranding. That's part of 2026 plan. That was OffShift. We're 6 months into the acquisition and we're a pretty lean team. And so it takes some time to get all those things moving. And so definitely one of the things in 2026 is to rebrand the app to be Project 61.
Okay, great. So why don't we do this? Why don't we break down, if you don't mind, everything that the app has to offer for people when they download it and kind of give them a gist of what they can expect?
Yeah, so we give you a daily workout. Those workouts, like I said, are somewhere between 8 to 15 minutes, and oftentimes they're circuit-based of body weight and resistance band exercises. I found resistance bands like the only piece of equipment you need as a truck driver. It's like lightweight, easy to store. They're pretty cheap to buy, but you can get a lot done with your body weight as well. And then on Thursdays and Sundays, we give you a nice little stretching routine that you can do right in your truck. And there's an option for at home, in the truck, or we also are starting to do outside of the truck as well, if you'd like to do that. And then on the nutrition side of things, we take a habit-based approach. And so we give you a weekly nutrition habit that is on a to-do list, basically a task every day on the home screen. And then we gamify it through, we have weekly challenges, solo challenges where, you can try to complete that habit 4 or 5 times this week and then complete the challenge. And the habits are really focused on like one small step or one small action that you can do anywhere out on the road. We don't hand anyone a meal plan and say, hey, flip your whole lifestyle upside down. And then what we do around that habit is we send educational messages on how to do that at the truck stop or McDonald's attached to it, and really trying to meet drivers where they're at and showing them actionable education on how to complete that habit. Also on the nutrition side of things, we have restaurant guides, We have truck stop guides. We've got a bunch of other content through our Explore page on our app. And then we also have different group challenges. So at the end of the year, we just got done with a 61-day step challenge where everyone connect their wearable or even just use their phone. And there was a leaderboard showing, hey, you can compete against each other and do it, see who's getting the most steps this day. We're also in the middle of a different challenge right now around New Year's, and we're going to do a heart health one in February. And so really just focusing on how do we build the community and show drivers that, you're not alone in this. There's other people doing this with you, and you can join in and really have not only, a personalized industry specific solution, but also have some community around it. And, hopefully have your friends join and razz each other a little bit and keep each other engaged.
I'm very competitive, so I like that. So just to give you guys an idea, for my solo challenge, mine is to drink a glass of water within 1 hour waking up. And it's called Sip Happens, is the promo on here. And you click each day. I missed a day this week because coffee. I head straight to the coffee pot, and I've really tried to grab the water first, but coffee calls my name. And then it gives you points for completing it, and you get nice little kudos. Also on the group challenge, it tracks my steps. So it asked me to connect my Apple Watch and my health to the app when I set it up, which I did. And then I'm actually in 95th place today, which is probably really bad because I haven't moved much today. But I will catch up by tonight because I don't like being that far behind.
Don't be that far behind. It's all good though. It's all good.
Yeah. And then while you're talking, it has a health section that has recommended screenings that you can complete. But my favorite is I get these messages every day and I'm like, who's messaging me? And it's Ollie.
Yes.
I like Ollie.
You like Ollie. I like Ollie as well.
Ollie. Yes. So Ollie is like their AI chat companion. I take it.
Not AI. Not AI. It is it's just our chat channel where they're created. All of those video messages are created by our coaching team, and so we want to just educate through and also have a little personality there to show, hey, this doesn't have to be super serious. We can have a little bit of a personality and crack some jokes and keep you engaged and educate you in the process.
Well, Ollie obviously knows that I'm a coffee person because on Wednesday when I missed my water, I actually got a message that said, yesterday was a coffee only start. And by halfway through the day, I felt foggy and drained. And I'm like, oh, Ollie, you and me both. I mean, it couldn't have fit more perfect.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. Okay. So, the thing about it is it's small steps, right? So drivers don't feel overwhelmed when they're starting out with your app. These are all things that any fitness level can achieve.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have people who are anywhere from 400 pounds to 120 pounds, that starting point. We have anyone from, I think our oldest person we've ever had is like in their late 70s, like 77 years old, joining in the program, all the way into, we've got some like 17-year-olds because we work with the CDL program that's within a high school. So like we have a wide spectrum, every size, age, all these different things. And, for us, it's really, we want to meet each person where they're at, and we want to make this very accessible. And what I've found just in general, coming from the physical therapy side of things, but just also spending tons of time with drivers, and we've worked with thousands of drivers at this point, helping them be healthier, is like, it's not often these like huge flip your whole lifestyle upside down health changes that make an impact. It's oftentimes one or two things that stick and you do consistently that then just change the way you feel, change the number on the scale, all these different things. Exactly. There you go. Right. And I'll tell you a story. Like my and this is a great story around the water situation. Is when I first got into trucking, one of the drivers in the clinic, I said, all right, how do I get more engaged? I want to like learn more. And he was like, go into trucking Facebook groups. And I was like, okay. I joined a bunch of those.
Beware.
Wild West for someone who has never been in the trucking industry, but it was awesome. And I just started posting in there. I was like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help drivers be healthier. Like, would anyone talk to me? And I got on the phone with probably like 20 or 30 different drivers, just like talking and learning. And one of
Aw.
the drivers I started working with was this guy named Ron, and he was drinking 12 packs of Pepsi a day while driving.
Wow.
24 sodas. I don't even know how that's possible. I don't know how he
No.
drove anywhere. I would just be peeing all day. Like that was so much liquid. But you also start thinking about how many calories and how many grams of sugar he was
That's
just
a lot.
consuming
Less sugar.
strictly
Yeah.
from what he was drinking, right? And so we started working together, and all I did was switch him from regular Pepsi to Diet Pepsi. And then eventually we moved to water. And he didn't add any exercise. He didn't change anything he was eating. And all of a sudden his diabetes was under control, and he was losing weight, right? And so
That's
it's like,
awesome. That's awesome.
that's a great example of like, how many times does a driver have a 64-ounce Mountain Dew in the cup holder, and they don't even realize that the amount of sugar or calories that they're just like, I don't want to say empty calories, but really are empty calories that you're just drinking
Yeah.
throughout the day.
Yeah.
And just like that one change would have such a huge impact on your health and how you feel. And it wouldn't be that like huge of a time suck, because it takes just as much time to grab, a 0-calorie beverage as it does the Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper or whatever you choose.
The only thing that I'm going to say as a truck driver is the problem with pee. So when you drink Pepsi, and I don't know what the difference is, because you're still taking in as much fluid if it's the syrup or the sugar, but you don't have to pee as much. And once you make that transition to water, you do. And I've tried to do 75 hard, and I've tried. I can't do a gallon of water because I would be stopping every hour.
I drink a ton of coffee throughout the day. I'm just saying, instead of the sugary filled caffeine, let's find some caffeine that has less sugar in it.
Well, it's a transition. I mean, to go through that. But
Correct.
I read somewhere that said an apple gives you as much caffeine as like a cup of coffee in the morning.
Not as much caffeine,
I've never
but it
tried
might
that.
have the impact on, like, from an energy
Like the impact,
perspective.
yeah.
The impact. It
As
might,
much energy as a cup of coffee does. Sorry, not
I
caffeine.
don't know. I'm pretty drowsy in the morning. I don't know if I would, if someone handed me an apple, I don't know what 4-letter word I'd say to say, hand me the coffee, please.
I wouldn't say anything nice, because I'm a 2-cup coffee minimum person in the morning before I even people. And if you handed me an apple instead of a coffee, it would not go very well at all.
Same.
But I did read that, but most of the drivers, we want that quick fix or that sugar rush or coffee, or, to keep them alert, and it causes bad habits. So then it takes our body longer to adjust to healthier, and we have to find alternative ways to help with our alertness, healthier ways. But I can see that. So developing that, working with these truck drivers, do you get a lot of excuses for why they're not? Do you have a lot of people that are able to implement it easily with their day? Or what kind of feedback are you getting from the actual drivers?
Yeah, I mean, the feedback we're getting from drivers is that this is the first time they've ever felt like something was actually built for their life out on the road, right? It's like,
yeah,
I know. And it's like the first time that they feel like, hey, I can do this in my truck. I can do this in these small pockets of time I have throughout the day. Instead of pulling up to a customer's and now I'm just opening up TikTok and scrolling, I'm going to open up Off Shift's app or Project 61's app and do a 5-minute workout really quickly, right? And so it's like, it's those types of things that, like, for me, really get me excited. And then the other piece of it that, in general, and this is something that I've just recognized over the last, 5.5 years in the industry, is that this whole process of getting healthier is really a psychological process disguised as a physical health one. And there's so many drivers that, the psychological aspect of trying to be healthier is the biggest barrier that they face, versus it's so hard. It is. Yeah. And I have so much So much empathy, as much empathy as I possibly can, and so really trying to put myself in their shoes, and really just trying to help drivers realize that, like, focus on progress, not perfection. This whole game of being healthier is like, you need to look at it from a larger time horizon. Don't try to, like, I think things like 75 hard can be great for some people, but I also think it can be
Hard.
I think it can also be really potentially negative for other people, because you
Yeah.
get in this mindset of saying, like, it's all or nothing,
Yeah.
or I did it, I failed. And the process of getting healthier is, hey, you're going to have slip ups, but get back on it tomorrow. Okay, I had a slip up. Let's get back on it tomorrow. And when you're on like this 30-day health sprint, going and it being stressed out and then having pizza on Friday night feels like a complete failure, and like you just suck, and like you are the worst and all your progress is gone. But if you look at it from a 30-year time horizon, pizza on a Friday night's not that big of a deal if on Saturday morning you get back to it, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna eat pizza. I like pizza. I do. I just don't eat pizza on every single meal, right? And so that's really like what I'm trying to help drivers understand is, don't be your worst enemy, and don't let one hiccup get in the way of the next 30 years of your life.
Right. And it's like whenever you go on a diet or restrictions, or you start making changes, your body craves what you gave up. And if you ignore that craving, it just gets worse and you end up just binging. I've always fed my cravings a little bit. I didn't like gorge on a whole pizza, but I ate a pizza slice. Or if I needed bread or I needed chocolate, I ate that piece of cake, or I had those M&Ms, and
It's a
then I
treat.
went on with life. Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be perfect, right? And a lot of the times it's not the one, dessert at the end of the evening, or, at the end of the week, that is the thing that impacts your health. It's the mental, it's the mental positioning of, oh, I messed up, screw it, I'm just going to go for it. And then the next 48 hours is whatever in front of you, you're just throwing in your face. And then it's like, no, that was the impact. It wasn't the piece of chocolate cake or the pizza. It was like the aftermath of just not caring and feeling like you've thrown it all away. So I might as well just like go
Give up.
and give up. Exactly.
Yeah. And, the isolation of the truck makes that worse, especially for the people. When I was on the road, I was very happy. I was the kind of person that thrived on the road, and me coming home has the opposite effect. I'm dealing with that depression and stuff at home. But there's a lot of drivers that deal with the depression from being away from the families, and, and that puts them in a tougher spot. So are there any plans for you to address that as well with the app moving forward?
Yeah, definitely. I think the community aspect's really important. And I don't know if you know this, but like the U.S. Surgeon General, so like the top person around health for the United States a few years ago, put out this whole thing about the epidemic of loneliness. And I think when you look at trucking, it's like a magnifying glass on that problem, is because so many drivers feel like they're in their own world and they don't reach out for help. They don't, stay connected with friends and family as much as they should be. And, one of the researches that, one of the data points that they found while researching was loneliness has worse long-term health outcomes than smoking 15 cigarettes a day, or even obesity and not being physically active. And so,
Really?
yes.
I
And
did
so
not know that.
that social piece of it is so important. And the human connection and feeling a part of a community is so important. And so what I would really, push for drivers to do is say, hey, I'm going to make this a really big part of my 2026 to stay connected with, make friends with other drivers so that you have people you can talk to who just get it, right? I mean, that's like a big part of it, because you call home and you're like, well, the people at home don't really understand what I'm going through. Okay, well, go find other drivers who want to talk, and they will talk. I know. It just takes sometimes someone to take the leap and, be the first person on the dance floor, right? And then everyone else follows. And then, also with your friends and family at home, stay connected with them. Quick call, even a text message. Like, I always have people that come up in my mind, and I'm like, why did this, person come up in my mind? Well, follow that intuition and just send them a text and, hey, I was thinking about you. Or, hey, I remember this thing, XYZ. those things go so far and they make a really big impact. And I'd really push for drivers to focus on that.
Yeah. So that's what's in store for them. What about you? What do you have? So you said Project 61, you guys are doing some rebranding. What's on your agenda for 2026?
So a few things. So continue improving the app. The app experience is really important for us because we think of that as like the center of the community, and we want to build more of a community aspect. We have like the group challenges, but we want to have a place where drivers can go talk, where they can like compete against each other, like where they don't have to feel alone in this. And we're just at the start of that.
It would be nice to see that interaction where you can kind of cheer each other on.
Yeah.
And put out, your goals for the day or what you were able to accomplish, your small little steps, and be able to have that pat on the back, from people who are working on the same goals you are, because not everybody understands at your level, right? So for you, that 15-minute workout was a lot, when somebody else is up doing an hour. So having that community that understands that finding that 15 minutes in your day and making that a priority was a moment that needed to be celebrated.
Yeah, completely. Right. I think if you've heard of an app called Strava, I think they do an awesome job of like the social aspect of it and like just, making people know that they're not alone in this. And I think that's really important. The second piece of it is we are working on something. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Next Generation and Trucking Association.
Yes. Love Lindsay. Love her.
Yeah, Lindsay is awesome. And so we are partnering with them, and we're building out the first driver health curriculum. Driver health curriculum. So you think about like what Truckers Against Trafficking has for helping drivers learn about how to see human trafficking. We are building that type of course and video series for drivers' health. And so
that's important. Yes.
Very important. And so it's going to be a certification that drivers can do during CDL school. We're going to work with the learning management systems and put it in there so companies and drivers can use it during their safety training, and really like the baseline knowledge of how to be healthier out on the road as a truck driver, and really a driver specific approach to it. And so I'm actually going next week to Fort Lauderdale to film all of those. So it's like it's going to be coming out hopefully Q1, Q2 of 2026. And I think it's going to be a really big deal because, it has the opportunity to get out to millions of drivers. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, I think it's very important. So when I started the series, that's why I decided to do health and wellness first, because people don't understand the effects that driving has when they go get their CDL and how important it is to start those habits from day one, or bringing those good habits with you to the industry. And when I had Michael on last week, that was something that we addressed as well, that it's easier to train new people before they get into the industry or while they're getting into it than it is to take a veteran driver and instill new habits. So I think that is wonderful that you are partnering with NextGen to do that. And I look forward to seeing it in ELDT programs.
Yeah, and actually, Michael is a part of it as well. So he's going to be in front. Yes, I'm good friends with him. He's awesome. Huge supporter of Project 61. Huge supporter of helping drivers be healthier. And so I'm glad he was on the podcast too.
Yeah, he told me, he's like, Tammy, you have got to have Mark on the show. I said, absolutely. And I said, should we bring him on? And he's like, he'll need his own show. So I get it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, health is important. And, that is, it's the effect that it has on, and I want to see people succeed, and I want them to have a career and longevity with it. And that requires, coming into it with stronger mental clarity and physical health. Then we just got to get the social isolation taken care of, and I think it'll be a winner.
Well, we have something called the 5 Axles of Health. We are actually launching this this year as well, and that's part of the video series. But it's like our framework for how truck drivers can be healthier out on the road. 5 Axles semi truck has 5 axles. Trying
Yeah.
to make it a little fun there. And what those are is fuel, so what you eat,
Mm-hmm.
right? Move, so being physically active, being intentional about movement. Mental drive, so the mental aspect of like their mental health, the community aspect, all those things. Recharge, which is like your sleep and recovery, and then what we call preventative maintenance, and that is going and proactively using the healthcare system, right? Getting annual physicals, getting blood work, not just relying on your DOT physical as a check to say you're good, but like going and actually getting healthcare done, and doing that kind of stuff, and then also being stop doing the obvious things that we know are not great for our health, right? If you smoke, working on quitting smoking is like the number one thing you can do for your long-term health because of the outcomes. Same
Right.
with if like abusing alcohol. If alcohol can be a part of your life, but you can't rely on it, right?
No.
So those types of things are really important. And from a holistic standpoint of like, if drivers can find those areas of their life through the 5 axles and be like, all right, I'm going to work on nutrition or fuel. I'm going to work on movement. I'm going to work on my sleep and recharge. I'm going to work on the mental drive, the mental health connection piece of it. And I'm going to go preventative maintenance and do the obvious things that like have the highest impact of making sure I'm ahead of, schedule instead of waiting to react and use the healthcare system and end up in the ER. Right. Those are really important to us.
That is awesome. And you're rolling that out this year as well.
Correct. Yeah, it's something that is going to be a really big, part of our framework going forward of how do we help drivers.
Wow. That's a really good year you got coming up. A lot of great things in the works.
Yes, there's a lot of moving parts, but it's been really exciting.
So is there anything else Project 61 has going on before I wrap this up that you would like to put out there?
No, I really appreciate you having me on, and would love anyone who's listening to come take advantage of the free stuff that we have, join the community, join the movement of changing, the current trajectory of health in this trucking industry. And Tam, just really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, no problem. Hey, are you going to be at Matt's this year?
I am.
Any big plans for Matt's?
Let's do something. No, I don't know. I don't have any huge plans.
I told Michael I would like you guys to get together and create some kind of hashtag challenge. I would love to see.
We're thinking about doing a step challenge.
Okay. Well,
that would be
something
cool.
that we could put out on social media, for some recognition and do some promos. I would love to see some kind of a hashtag created to do something. Maybe it's, after we get through the whole new year, new me thing and people are ready to actually get serious.
Yep.
What do they say? 2 weeks and then it's the serious people. But no, I'd love to see something happen, some kind of challenge, some kind of motivating thing with Matt's. I mean, hey, Michael's a runner. I mean, it'd be like the first 5K for a Matt's to sponsor, but the semis do laps around. I mean, why can't we put up some kind of obstacle running fitness thing?
Well, we do. We have been putting on morning walks at different conferences, and it like gets. We had one. I think we did like 5 or 6 this past year or this past fall, and we averaged like 30 to 40 people a morning at these conferences. So
That's
I think
awesome.
we could get a big group of people together and go for a walk and just like make health part of the conversation.
I think it needs to be. I think it needs to be. Definitely. Well, Mark, it has been awesome having you on, Dr. Mark Manera, everybody.
Thank you very much.
It. So Checking with Tammy podcast listeners, thank you so much. Again, that was Dr. Mark Manera with Project 61. I am going to post the links on the social medias and at the end of this podcast for you. You can find Dr. Mark Manera on LinkedIn, on Facebook, project61.org. I'll post all that information as well. And remember, the app is free. Using it is free. There are no in-app purchases. So you can take that app, you can download it. You can do those daily solo and group challenges. And then you can reach out to Michael Lombard and get some free coaching as well. And then there you go. You guys have it. Thanks again for listening to Trucking with Tammy, and you guys keep rolling.